One of my favorite ways to catch them when they're shallow is a square bill. But one of the challenges to square bills is every brand makes some pretty dope square bills now. So it can be really overwhelming when you walk into a store like this, and where do you start, right? Like, do you get a round body? Do you get a flat side? Do you get a Depps or the Megabass, or like what do you do? So today we're gonna break down square bills. We're going to go through our most popular ones. I got a whole pile here. We're going to try to do a deep dive through the different brands, the different styles, and talk about when you would select an Evoke over a Sonic side or vice versa. So if you guys are ready to break down square bills, let's go. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depps, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. All right, welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, aka the Tackle Otaku, being joined by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We are the Hookup Tackle USA. What's up, Jeffrey the King?
What's up, dude?
All right, so today we are going to deep dive into square bills. And this is something that I love. I'm a sucker for square bills. I probably have more square bills than I've caught fish on square bills. I mean, I literally have like boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. There's like certain things that I'm a sucker for. Topwater, jerkbait, square bills. I'm a sucker every time.
Oh, yeah.
You?
Swim bait, crankbait, and topwater.
Yeah. So every time I see a cool square bill, I buy it. And it gets to the point of pretty ridiculous when you have so many different baits, but it's fun, right? But I think back and I think a lot here, like it gets overwhelming to a certain extent because it used to be every brand had a square bill, but now every brand has like 20 square bills. And there's, flat ones and round ones and, things that have hunting action, things that are designed to deflect like this or to, move like that. So, I thought it would be a good topic, just kind of brainstorm and discuss kind of our approach on square bills. We'll talk about what each one does, why you would choose certain ones over others, and hopefully it'll shed some light, give you guys a good starting point, or maybe you're a super experienced square bill fisherman, and maybe we talk about a bait here today that you have been curious about, or maybe didn't even know about, that might be worth maybe working into the lineup. Now, and keep in mind, if we talk about every square bill on the market, we would be here for like 47 hours. So, even though we have a big pile of them, we've still dwindled this down to our favorites and ones that we use on a regular basis so that hopefully it can just be, good information and we have good experience with these so you guys can take it and hopefully catch more fish. So, you ready to do this, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, okay? So, when I think of the beginning of square bill fishing, we have to talk about the original, and that's the Lucky Craft LC 1.5. Now, this is really the first, true square bill that really advanced square bill fishing. There obviously had been shallow diving crankbaits and square bills before, but this was the first like true, JDM square bill that elevated the design, the movement, all of that, and really kind of put square bill fishing on the map. The LC 1.5, I mean, basically is the bait that everybody else has copied a 1.5 off. If you even think about it, there's a Strike King 1.5, right? There's an S Crank 1.5. Like everything kind of has a 1.5 size, and this is the bait that's responsible for that. Now, the LC15 is just a very simple square bill. It can, it can grind with the best of them, right? This is one that's just got a good all-around starting point. If you need to bang it around rock, you need to bang it around grass, you need to bang it around wood, it can kind of do all of it. right? It's a good cover deflection for all of those. It's a rounder body, so it's got kind of an in-between motion. It's not super wide, it's not really tight, it's just kind of a good middle of the road, kind of do everything square bill. So this would be a great starting point for you if you're just getting into square bill fishing or you're not sure exactly what the fish want where you are. It's available in the original version, which is silent, right? So no sound. It's available in a DRS, which is a deep rattling sound. So it's going to have a loud knock in there, right? So it's got that one knock that's going back and forth. You can get it in an LC 2.0, a 2.5, like you can go up and up and up in sizes. You know, so you really kind of match the prey that your fish are feeding on. So it's just a great starting point. So definitely a staple. They're $6. They're inexpensive. 9 gazillion colors in these things. But to keep it very simple, you got a silent and you got a rattle, right? You got a 1.5, you got 2.0, 2.5. So a great starting point. Now, sticking with that style of, you know, square bill, you can go different directions here. So, you know, I generally go from there to the Depps Evoke. Now, this is another one that's designed to, you know, kind of imitate or mimic like a balsa type action. Now, one of the things that is so great about balsa is it's very buoyant, right? So when you get it down into something and you pause, it's gonna, because it's made out of wood, it's going to really kind of float up high, right? So it hits, and if you pause it, it really kind of lifts up. Or even as it's coming through and it hits a piece of wood, instead of continuing to dig down, it hits in that, it helps kind of lift it up and over cover. So you could bring a bait like this through, you know, logs and laydowns and wood and different things much more effectively than you can a lot of the other baits in there. So the reason why it's got that ability is this whole body is one chamber, right? So there's no like dividers in here or anything, you know, that a lot of brands will use to kind of reinforce. Depps designed the bait to be a durable plastic, so it didn't need any internal reinforcement. So it's just one chamber of air that gives it that great buoyancy. So the Evoke, it's available in a bunch of sizes, 2.0, 1.2, and these sizes are going to refer to the meter depth that it's designed to get, okay? So 1.2 would be 1.2 meters, the 2.0, 2.0 meters, so on and so forth. So again, this is a great one when you need a hard vibration. The Evoke's gonna vibrate really hard, and you can really feel it at the end of your rod. Jeff, you throw the Evoke a lot. Can you feel it at the end of your rod? Kind of like, not quite as hard as a chatterbait, but you know it's back there.
Oh, dude, yeah, the vibration on it's insane. And like, you can feel like, oh, that's a tree, or that's a rock, or that's grass. And it's, like you said, the buoyancy on that thing is unreal. I mean, I was fishing a crankbait that you'll talk later about a few days ago, and it just seemed like I could not get through wood. I tied on that Evoke, I was getting through the same wood, no problem, and getting bites. So it's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys are looking for a bait to just kind of do a bunch of different things, you're not sure if you're gonna be in grass, in rock, in wood, whatever the structure might be, the Evoke, the LC, these are great starting points to just be like great all around square bills. You'll get a lot of use out of them, and they'll come through stuff really, really well. Now, another one that's come on the market recently and has really kind of taken Japan by storm is a brand called Mibro, and they make a crankbait called the Warlock. Now, the Warlock's available in 2 different sizes. So there's the main size, which is 65 millimeters, and then there's a little bit smaller size that's 58 millimeters. The Warlock, again, was kind of designed with the same idea as the Evoke or the LC, designed to be very buoyant, designed to mimic kind of that balsa type action, come through a lot of different cover very, very well. Now, this one's a little bit flatter, right? Still has a round shape, but it's a little bit higher and flatter. And what that does is, by dropping the belly a little bit lower and creating a little bit higher movement, it allows the bait to flash a little bit more, so you get a little more side to side because it's higher, but it also keeps it keeled so you could work it at higher speeds. So it's just a great all-around square bill. And you know, a lot of this comes down to, they might eat, you know, they might eat both of these the same, right? Or they might not. Square bill fishing is no different than soft plastic fishing or anything else, right? Like sometimes they want, a 6-inch roboworm, and sometimes they want a bubble and shaker or a tournament crawler, right? Sometimes they want green pumpkin, and sometimes they want watermelon. So, understanding what each bait is designed to do is great, because then you guys can take it and you can, break the mold, right? You can do whatever you want to with it, but you can utilize the tools to the best of your abilities to get bit. So this is just another great all-purpose square bill that I keep in my box. You guys would probably love it. The Warlock from Mibro. Again, it's just going to do everything that we just talked about. It's going to deflect off everything really, really well. Okay, now in the Megabass line, they make a square bill called the Knuckle LD, and they make this in a full-size version and a junior version. The full size is 60 millimeters, the junior is 55 millimeters. They both weigh 3/8 of an ounce. So they're both the same weight, which is great. So you can throw the smaller size one. If you need a smaller size, you can throw the full size. The full size is still pretty small. But what's great about the Knuckle LD is, unlike the ones we just talked about, this guy is going to have a different lip to it. So it's got this kind of computer board style lip. And what that's going to do is it's going to flex a lot, right? So the lip is very thin, it's very strong because of what it's made out of, but because it's thin and it flexes, it gives the bait kind of a more of a hunting type action, right? So if you're really trying to come through, the super gnarly, wood laydowns and that kind of stuff, I'd be throwing either that Warlock, the LC, or the Evoke, the ones that we just started on. But if it's more of a mix, right? If you've got more rock than wood, some wood, but mostly rock, maybe a little, scattered grass, and maybe your bait's not going to always be banging into stuff, right? You're going to have a little bit more open water. The Knuckle LD is a great one for that because it kind of has its own built-in action. It still deflects, still comes around cover, but because that bill flexes and it gives that bait that little bit of a hunting action, fish will eat this thing just in open water. Right? So with the first few crankbaits we talked about, it's really important that they kind of hit things and deflect and bounce off, and that's usually when those strikes will be triggered. With the Knuckle LD, not as important. They'll eat it in more open water, but you still get some decent cover deflection with it. So it's, again, just another tool for, different water. It does have a swiveled front hook, so that's one of the things with a lot of crankbaits. A lot of times with crankbaits, they're hooked on the outside, right? It's just the nature of dangling treble hooks. It's hard for a fish to eat this and for it to just perfectly go all the way in. Almost always they attack it, and those treble hooks get it before the bait can get down. So having that swiveled keeper is nice. It just helps your land ratio a little bit. Knuckle LD, that's a great all-around multi-purpose bait from Megabass. All right, now a couple other ones that are really important to talk about. Evergreen makes a great one called the Shallow Hog, or SH as we call it here in the US. And then OSP, of course, makes their Blitz line, whether it's the OSP Blitz or the OSP Blitz Max. So let's talk about these two really quick. Let's start with the Evergreen. So the Evergreen Shallow Hog, this is a unique one because this one is going to be really wide. Okay, this is one that you can utilize when you want a lot of water push. Now you notice it's a very wide bait and it's got a very thin lip that triangles quickly. So what it's going to do is it's going to just give you a very wide movement. Okay, so this thing is going to really come through, push a lot of water. Not great at cover deflection, I find. So this is one that I'm going to throw more around grass or rock. Try to avoid wood with this guy because the wider the movement, the more hook swing you guys are going to get, right? And when those hooks are swinging out and the bait's not kind of covering them up, or that bill's not covering up, it's really easy for them to snag, especially on wood. If you get a wide moving bait around wood, it's like super glue, Velcro. I mean, it detaches and it's not coming off. But it's got a great sound to it. right? It's got a really wide movement to it. It's got a great fish catching movement to it. So the Shallow Hog is definitely one, if you guys are fishing around a lot of grass, it's definitely one to consider adding. Not a lot of people throw it. It doesn't get a lot of notoriety. Definitely gets overshadowed by the Flat Force in their line, but it's one that can really get you some key bites, and it's available in colors that a lot of their other crankbaits aren't available in. So there's some great bluegill colors, like green pumpkin gill, olive craw, that kind of stuff. Okay, the Blitz series from OSP. Now this is the staple. This is the staple in the OSP line. Now the Blitz series come in a rattling or a silent. This just happens to be a rattling, but you can get it in either way. Similar to that Knuckle LD, it is a computer chip lip, but this one is a little bit harder than that one. So really what makes an OSP Blitz kind of stand out is the body is got a honeycomb frame to it. So if you get any of the clearer ones, you'll notice that it's all kind of a honeycomb shape, which allows them to thin the outer walls of the bait, keep the bait round, but because it's thin, it tightens up the action. So you get this kind of hybrid between a flat side crankbait and a round crankbait, so you get a unique action unlike any of the other baits. They all have a keel weight at the belly, which will keep it keeled for any speed, so you can fish it slow, you can fish it quickly. The Blitz, in my opinion, is kind of just like the LC, right? It's just a great all-around bait. You can bang it around pretty much anything, bang it around the rocks, bang it around the wood, rip it out of grass. It's got a little different shaped lip, more of a coffin lip, and that's just to provide a little bit extra movement so those hooks don't snag when you're banging it around wood. But it's another great one that you guys can definitely add to your lineup. And then they even have some Magnum sizes if you really want to get into some big crankbaits. We're not going to really break down the Magnum cranks on this. I feel like that's a whole other episode. We start getting into those, you know, BDS 4s, BDS 6s, and, you know, the big blitzes. So we'll do that separately. Today, I really just want to talk about true square bills, things that we're going to throw all the time in that kind of 1.5, 2.5 size. The Blitz is a great one. Okay, and then from there, it kind of goes to some flat sides, right? Now, flat sides have been super crazy popular over the last few years. We've seen a lot of tournaments won on the Megabass Sonic side, on the Evergreen Flat Force. These are baits that are getting a lot of notoriety, and really the difference between, you know, a bait like this versus the ones we've talked about so far is by making them flat, they're tightening up the motion to them. Okay, so here is the Flat Force from Evergreen. Here's the Sonic side from Megabass. And you can see that they're flat-sided baits versus round baits, and you can notice that the lips and the bills are much thinner as well. So what that's going to do is, instead of that crankbait down there kind of cranking side to side, it's really tightening it up. It's more of a tight vibration, right? So it's going to be more of a true shad or baitfish imitation. It's going to give that tighter vibration of movement versus needing to deflect off of cover. So sometimes the fish are shallow and you need to really kind of bang your crankbait down into some wood, down into the obstacles to get those fish to commit. That's when you're going to use the crankbaits that we started with. Other times they're just kind of chilling in grass, or they're offshore, they're suspended, and you just need a bait to kind of come through the column, and that's when a flat side crankbait can really be effective. When they're really keyed in on feeding, that's when a flat-sided square bill is effective. So if they're really keyed in on shad, if they're really aggressively chasing bluegills, right, or whatever the bait is, that's when the flat side is really key. When they're a little more lethargic, a little more tucked into cover, you know, being a little more difficult, that's when more of the traditional or round-bodied square bill tends to be the best option. Now, the difference between these, Flat Force is basically just a chuck and wind, right? There's just something about this bait that they react to. There's no rattle inside. It's just very natural. It has a great movement, and they eat it. So if you guys are fishing around anything that's feeding on shad specifically, little baby bluegills, that kind of stuff, this is a great one. The Sonic side is built a little bit wider. You're going to be able to burn this a little bit more than you can that Flat Force. The Flat Force, if you get it going too fast, it will eventually start to wash out a little bit to the side. The Sonic side Not the case. You can go pretty much any speed with this. You can literally burn it as fast as you can, and it will track true, and it's a great one. Now, there's a couple other ones that are worth noting. From OSP, they make the HPF crank. Now, this is one of our best sellers. It's available in a rattling and a non-rattling. You can kind of see that honeycomb body through this one a little bit, or at least I can. I don't know if you can see it, Jeff. But
Not really.
it's the same idea, but you can see how flat it is. It's just going to be a super tight, super hard hitting, lots of vibration in there. You can go any speed. What's great about the OSP baits is that they make a lot of matte finishes. And sometimes, you know, you just need something slightly different than what everybody else is throwing. And sometimes in, you know, darker water, cloudy days, or just going behind people, a matte finish can get you an extra bite or two. So definitely worth considering the HPF crank to add in the arsenal. And then also Mibro, again, they make a bait called the Cheater, and they have two different versions. They have an original and they have a Type C. The Type C is basically just a coffin lip version. The original is more of a square lip. So the original is going to be more of a bait that's going to act similar to like the Evergreen, like the Flat Force or the Sonic Side, where it's more of an open water. And then the coffin style is going to give you the ability of banging into cover, but still keeping that really tight, you know, shad profile there. So just another great one that not a lot of guys are on yet because it's still a relatively new brand, but they make great crankbaits for when you need it to be tight and super lifelike there. So that's the Mibro Cheater. Okay, and then finally for me, there is kind of an oddball, and this is one that I kind of put in its own category, and this is the Megabass S Crank. Now, I definitely consider this a square bill because it's got a square bill and it's a shallow water bait, but this is one of those baits that really doesn't need, you know, any help getting bites. It is designed differently. You notice it's definitely got a different shape. It's got a funky shaped head, a really wide body, right? This bait is designed solely to be a hunting bait. And what that means when we say hunt, with most of these baits that we've talked about, when you cast them and you retrieve them, they're going to wobble side to side, but you want them to track straight, right? So if I'm casting right here to Jeff and I'm wanting it in, you want that bait to track straight back to me. When a bait is hunting, instead of it going straight, it's going off to the side, but then it's fighting to get back to center. And then it's off to that side and it's fighting to get back to center. So what it does, it has this kind of built-in action that's causing the bait to almost deflect, but it's not hitting anything, right? It's built into the bait. So this is a great one when you're fishing around grass or open water. This is not a good one around wood. It will snag every piece of wood you get it within 3 feet of. It's okay around rock, but because of its hunting ability, when it goes off to the side, the hooks are just drifting a little bit and they'll snag if you get it too close to stuff. In grass, super easy to rip out. So for me, this is one that I'll fish around aquatic vegetation. I'll fish in that little bit deeper water. So when they set up in that, you know, 6, 7, 8 foot of water and need this just kind of drifting over their heads, this is a great one. So it's available in a 1.2, a 1.5, and a 2.0 size. And the bodies will get bigger as you go up, but also the depth gets deeper as you go up. But just a great one to have. But again, you've got to have that open water with it, or you're going to just totally hate your life on snagging it all the time. But if you've got open water, it's absolutely money, and you can just kind of match the color profile. Again, the same is going to go for all these. You know, match the color profile to what they're feeding on. Square bills come in shads, in bluegills, in crawfish patterns, all kinds of things, right? So really just kind of match to your waterway what you want to do. But this is a great one to add. All right, guys, well, that is a wrap. There is a deep dive into our favorite square bills. These are our best sellers in the shop. These are ones that we see you guys using all the time, that we use all the time. Everybody should have in their arsenal. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully that sheds some light on, you know, why you would choose one over the other. And at the end of the day, you know, what we talked about is how the baits are built and what they are designed to do, but you guys figure out how to utilize that to what you need to catch fish, right? You want to burn one that's designed to go slow, or go slow with one that's designed to burn. Do it and teach us and share whatever knowledge you guys have on, you know, uses for what we just talked about. We're one community. We all want to learn from each other. If you guys have questions, drop it down below in the comments and I will get to them. Jeff will leave links to the products if you guys want to check them out. And, you know, as always, guys, on behalf of myself and everybody here, thank you for the support and thank you for the business. We appreciate you guys watching. Let's get on the water, Jeff. Let's go catch some on some square bills. Good luck, everybody. You know, jack them on these things. We will see you soon. Peace.